Story 1. My fiancé is concerned about another girl I'm working with. Posted by you/thrower secondary. My 26M fiancé, 24F, wanted to talk to me a couple of nights ago about something that's been on her mind for a while, but something that she wasn't sure how to express. She was nervous about coming off wrong, to use her words, and she said that she was afraid that bringing it up would ruin our relationship. I did my best to promise her that nothing she said could do that, so she told me what it was, and I'm trying to find the best way to handle it. We have known each other going back to high school, and we have been dating for the past 3 years. We both recently graduated and wanted to wait until we did before we talked about marriage. After we did, we both began looking for places, and I proposed to her with a ring that she pointed out to me. When she told me what she did, she said that she felt guilty for not saying it before telling me to buy the ring, and even though I promised her that nothing she said could change how I feel about her, she still feels bad after we talked last night. I wanted to come here and ask for advice on the situation. When I was in college, I fell in love with circus arts on the side at a place that offered it. After trying a trial class, I ended up taking classes there for my first college semester, going on 4+ years. I mostly specialize in handstand balancing and partner acrobatics, but this is the thing that she was slightly concerned about. In the partner acrobatics class/community that I've been a part of for the past few years, the instructors would assign partners based on similar skill levels in the group. I have been working with another girl similar to my skill level. My fiancé knows this and has even attended a few of our recitals. Not to mention she's also tried a few classes herself, but felt that it would be a long time until she became decent, and she didn't feel like putting a lot of hours into it, which is totally fine. We all have different passions, and I try to support hers like she tried to support mine by attending our recitals over the past few years. However, when we talked, she said that she didn't want to come off as if she was jealous, and she made sure to emphasize that numerous times, but she said that she had doubts about how closely we work together, and specifically how we're usually holding or catapulting each other up into different balances and work very closely to each other, along with the time we've spent together to refine our skills for performances and such. She just wanted to ask, as it's been on her mind for a while, but she felt bad for not stating her concern months before. I did my best to tell her that I love her and appreciate her concern and for telling me too, since I know she could have kept it inside and led to future problems by never voicing it, problems I would never know about in all likelihood. However, I also tried my best to emphasize that while we worked closely together to refine our skills, we were not in any romantic relationship whatsoever, despite the fact that my partner isn't in a relationship. I know how it can look when we're balancing and stunning together in close proximity, but my partner also knows that I'm in a relationship, and I personally see it similar to when dancers work with other dancers, or actors and actresses in a movie or play may have relations that don't translate off of the screen and are strictly professional. However, I told her that if she prefers that I stop doing acrobatics with her, I'd be more than willing to do that, as we're especially about to get married. But she began to feel guilty and said that she didn't want to waste all the money from our last 4 years of working together, along with how we make some money on the side performing at gigs that our studio often provides. She began to feel guilty for bringing it up and causing a rift between me and my partner, which has not happened at all. I want to show her that I appreciate her telling me her concern and that I'm willing to do my best to erase any concerns she may have, especially as we're about to get married in the near future. I'm happy that we could have a conversation about it. However, she just feels concerned and guilty for bringing it up, and I wanted to ask how I should best go about everything from here on, and here's what I mean. I'm more than willing to stop partner acrobatics as we're about to get married by all means, but I'm also trying to think of how I would explain that to my partner, without going into all of the details, but keeping it professional. I'm also trying to be respectful and grateful that my fiancé brought it to my attention by doing whatever she feels most comfortable with. But if I quit, she'll probably feel guilty, like she said probably 100 times, and she is my priority. I wanted to ask for advice on how to move forward and what choice would be the best one to make, perhaps even from others who are actors, dancers, and have relationships aside from working with a partner in a professional field. Any advice is appreciated, and thanks for reading all of that. Update 1 month 2 weeks later. Editor's note, Op recapped his previous post here, fast forwarding to the new information. Some of the advice that I received last time really gave me a different perspective that I didn't have. Someone said that while quitting acrobatics would be an option, it could do more harm than good in the long run because it would set a precedent on how male/female relationships outside of your marriage would be handled in the future, and that rather than removing temptation, it could be better to learn how to establish mutual trust, along with how it's not good to give up hobbies we enjoy, which may make me or us resent each other later. Someone else also recommended setting strict boundaries or guidelines and making them clear to my fiancé the next time we talked, and I tried my best to do so. When we talked again, I told her that I wouldn't be hanging out with my partner outside of training and that she is welcome to drop by unannounced, like someone also recommended. I thanked her for bringing it to my attention again and assured her that I'm willing to do what's best for both of us. I also told her that if that didn't work and quitting down the line would just be easier, I'd be fine with that too. But she said that she didn't want me to quit and that she admired the effort we put in and didn't want to ruin that at all. She said that she was also thinking about it a lot more too, and that she thought of some things she didn't say when we last talked. She clarified that she was wrongfully jealous of the bond that my partner and I shared, specifically how much she admired the trust we had and stuff like that. She also told me when she first began feeling what she voiced last time, and it was after someone commented on our video performance some time back and thought that my partner was my girlfriend. It was a few years ago before some people knew we were dating, since it was a family friend who said it, and she expressed that it did hurt her feelings. I told her that I had no issue removing the video from a few years ago off of my socials. She felt really bad about not saying anything for so long, but she felt for a while that she might lose me over her and that she considered herself to be less than her too. She wished there was something we could do together to strengthen our bond, since she wishes she could perform with me but didn't want to personally commit to acrobatics after a few sessions. She doesn't know what that bonding thing could be yet, and it's something we're trying to brainstorm at the moment in the midst of the wedding planning. I wanted to ask for suggestions on things we could do and potential ways to make her feel better or more confident about herself when she sometimes has a tendency to doubt herself for many things. Hopefully, a bonding activity can change that, since this could be the resolution she was looking for. Second update 1 year later. I went back and forth on writing this a few times, but it's been hard when I thought things were getting better, but we never ended up getting married. In my first post, my fiancée said she wanted to talk to me for some time, but was afraid of coming off wrong and feared it could ruin our relationship. Editor's note, Op recapped his previous post here, fast forwarding to the new information. One of the best pieces of advice I received was to use the situation as a precedent for how male/female relationships would be handled in the future, as a means to build trust going into our marriage, a better alternative than quitting, which could lead to resentment. So when we talked again, I offered to have her drop by unannounced, as well as offering to have her meet my partner too. She said she didn't need to drop by and that she still felt guilty for bringing it up in the first place, but I told her that it would only make us stronger and that we could try a new hobby together too. She said that she was open to it, and after my update post, I felt things were looking up. She came to one of our training sessions. My partner and I rent studio time to train together outside of group classes for specific choreography routines, and she met my partner formally and watched the entire session. Afterward, she was open to the three of us grabbing lunch since they didn't get to talk much at the studio, and they seemed to hit it off well. However, not long after, she told me that her parents created most of her doubts about my partner and me being together, along with sending the video of our performance to her relatives to convince her that it looked like more going on between us when there wasn't. This was the first that I learned about it, as her parents never brought their concern to me, but I told her that I didn't look at her differently because of her parents, because I wasn't marrying them. But she said she felt embarrassed and that her parents said some things that really hurt her, along with spreading them to relatives too, and she was really emotional when she said all of this too. In the aftermath of learning about my hobby and seeing the performance video, they told her that they wouldn't support our marriage anymore unless I quit. But she made sure to emphasize that her initial conversation was not about me quitting, but rather feeling insecure about herself and her body compared to my acro partner. I told her I didn't care what her parents thought despite their threat to not attend or want their wedding funds back, that I'd happily give so that we'd owe nothing to them, but that I also understood how harsh they were being after they called her derogatory names, Re being one, in addition to spreading gossip to both relatives and church. She had received calls and messages from all three sides, and they began to make her depressed too. I asked if she wanted to talk to someone about it, perhaps even together if that made it easier, but she said she wanted space not because of me but because of her parents' threats to not talk to her anymore on top of everything else. I wanted to stay together with her through the process, but she insisted on doing it alone and just was really depressed. So, we took a break that I thought would be brief, but she stopped responding almost entirely. I even considered going over to see her after some time, but my dad said that was a bad idea. On the bright side, Erin formally cancelled with our wedding planner, which honestly made my heart sink, although I appreciate her doing it the right way instead of rushing into it. Her parents were always fine with me up until the video, I guess, but refused to answer any calls or messages I gave them before Erin left, to talk to them together, and strictly stuck to gossiping about me. I even offered to go over, but they texted Erin that I couldn't and to stop bugging them. I've been unwilling to practice acro much too, taking a break for a time as things have been tough, but my partner has been understanding and said she hopes I come back to class, and I'm thinking about it to get active again. After my first initial messages to Erin, I took breaks to give her space for a few weeks before trying again, but there has been no response. My dad said it's tough for people to break away from their parents and make big decisions sometimes too. Her parents also called me some derogatory names too in a 180 since the video. So, I'm just trying to take things day by day, but if there's anything I'll ask for, it's how to move on and get active again because it's been tough and some days especially. Maybe going back to class would be a start, but I'm just hoping to have the strength to do so soon because it's been hard to do much of late. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Wow man, that's sad. For her to prioritize her family's opinions over yours must have come as a real blow to you. I hope you are recovering from the lack of courage on her part. I can't imagine the pressure she was under, but also, this may have been indicative of the way your relationship was going to be in the future. Baby's name? Family decides. Future home choices? Family decides. Financial decisions? Family decides. Not directly maybe, but if the core choice of whether to be with you or not is under question because of some family gossip, then every other choice you make as partners could possibly have been open to pressure and manipulation. On the whole, and hard as it may be to believe now, this might have been a lucky escape for you. No matter how respectful and open she was, she chose them instead of you, and I fear that might have been a constant. Ops response. From what I know, she's staying with a friend, and while it feels like that sometimes, I'm also not sure given the other things/messages she's shown me. From spreading false rumors about me and my partner to their church, relatives, and her social media, she said she felt embarrassed and even scared after they threatened to disown her and demand money back too, but not because of the threat to disown. Mostly, it was because of the sensitive stuff they threatened to post about her online. I can't say for sure that she's gone back to them, as I saw some of the texts and the arguments they had on her phone and the derogatory names. One of her friends said that she's just relying on her best friend as her only support and not necessarily with her parents at all because of the nature of their threats. Another aspect that makes me unsure was her purity past she mentioned when talking about her bodily guilt when comparing herself to my acro partner, so I feel it's hard to know for sure. Understandably, I feel it's best that it happened before the wedding, and I'm thankful that it wasn't an ugly cancellation. A lot of it screamed being threatened with personal stuff being posted online that she wanted to face alone instead of together, when I wanted to support her through it and help her get past them. Commenter 2. Sorry you're going through this, and that she did too. I'm a Christian, but I'll tell you these people are disgusting. No one should be shamed for doing what art form they love. It's people like them that completely radicalize and misinterpret what our religion is supposed to be about. Which is love. Sorry they did this to you. They've clearly shamed and demoralized her for her entire life and made her think that human bodies are horrible instead of beautiful. I can see how it would be extremely difficult for her to break from that mindset after all those years. I hope you get back to your dance and find joy and peace. Commenter 3. I wonder if there was some homophobia in the parents too, because of acrobatics. Commenter 4. I think so. The 180 turn from the parents was probably them changing from calling him a cheater, to calling him gay for doing acrobatics. Story 2.
I called CPS on my sister. Posted by you/burner 62939362259. Burner account. I feel so effing stressed and guilty. Guilty for calling, but also guilty for waiting so long to call. I also called animal control, and they will be at her door in a few hours. I'm in college, and the new semester just started, and no way am I going to be able to focus in class today. My nibblings are severely neglected. They don't attend school, and one has an individualized education program for a diagnosed developmental delay and has long hair matted down to the scalp. Their house is a house of horrors, just filled with garbage, urine, and feces from the animals that they don't take care of. They all sleep in one bedroom because the house is filled to the brim with trash. I've tried cleaning, I've tried hiring people, I've tried begging. Nothing has worked. I've spent thousands of dollars trying to get this house cleaned up, and nothing gets through to her. My sister needs psychiatric help, and she won't get it. The woman I knew 5+ years ago would have never treated living, breathing creatures like this. I don't even know who she is anymore. She's such a liar that I have no idea what's the truth when she's talking to me. The school is on the verge of taking her to court for educational neglect. She keeps them out until dawn door dashing, and then they sleep until 4 p.m. and do it all over again. The kids don't have friends or social lives. They barely know how to act around people. I'm so disgusted and sad. My sister was my best friend, but I can barely look at her without feeling like I'm going to be sick. Our parents have washed their hands of this and don't want to be involved anymore. They've tried everything I have and have given her so much money because she refuses to get a job. I don't want them to be mad at me for calling, but I didn't see them doing it. I have 2 kids of my own to take care of, and taking on my nibblings would completely disrupt the household, but if they get removed from her care, I'd rather they came to me while she gets help. Our grandmother just died. Now I feel even more guilty for calling because she was close to her, and her mental health is already in the toilet. I feel so lost and alone in this. Top/relevant comments. Additional info from UP. Her children's father, biological father of only one child but raised the other child, died unexpectedly in 2020. He did everything for her. Cooked, cleaned, took care of the kids' school, parenting, and hygiene, and took care of the kids in their in-home daycare. They weren't really together by the end of his life, as he was an alcoholic, and he was removed from the household legally after he started being investigated for child pornography. Her life is a mess. But losing the stability that he gave her absolutely rocked her. Things crumbled when he was removed from the home, and the responsibility was shifted to her. Then, when he died, it made it a lot worse, as she still loved him. Commenter. You absolutely did the right thing. It's a tough thing to do, but those children are suffering, and so are the animals. Ops response. The animals don't even see daylight. They're caged and kept in a bathroom. 2 of her dogs have died mysteriously and were just left to rot. She won't let me in to see their current condition, but her friend tells me one has a huge mass, is very sick, and needs to be put down. Commenter 2. My family had to do something similar with my own sister. She had over 30 dogs in an infested household, and my nibblings were locked in their room from the outside for the majority of the day and weren't allowed to leave except to use the bathroom every few hours. They weren't going to school and had already been on individualized education programs that weren't being followed. My sister had become a user and was no longer the same person we grew up with. There's no shame in what you've done, and the guilt isn't yours to bear. Those children need the best chance to succeed, and the environment they are surrounded by right now isn't it. You made a hard choice, but it was the right one for those kids. Ops response. Wow, that sounds so similar to our situation. She did have 4 dogs and 2 cats, but they have been mysteriously dying over the last few months. She now has 2 dogs and 1 cat. Her children aren't locked in their rooms, but they aren't able to go out with friends or have friends over. They are very isolated from the outside world. I don't know how people can think these behaviors are okay. How broken can your moral compass be? Commenter 3. If there has been such a radical change, it's possible that she got postpartum depression, or even psychosis at this point, after the last birth, wasn't diagnosed, and it settled in. Did the change of behavior occur after the birth of one of her kids? If your sister is a danger to herself or others, you don't need her approval to have her admitted into a psychiatric hospital. Ops response. Her children are 9 and 13. Her children's father died a year and a half ago, and while she was unwell before then, his death really rattled the entire family. He did the cooking, cleaning, and made sure the kids went to school for 10 years. When she started having to do it herself, everything was just chaos. So, while I believe it's not the entire reason, it is at least a huge piece of it. I just want her to get treatment. Commenter 4. He did all the housework? What did she do? Ops response. Basically nothing, if I'm honest. They had an in-home daycare, and he did all the work with that too. Commenter 5. The only concern is that you didn't do this sooner. Those children are being severely neglected. Ops response. Things didn't come to a head until about a year ago. I have spent thousands of dollars cleaning and hiring people to help her. I thought I could fix her. I wish I had called sooner, but it took a lot of detective work and money spent on my part to get to this point. Update 1 day later. Since people have been asking to be brought along for the ride, I have heard absolutely nothing about animal control from my sister or from the animal control officer that I spoke to. He was going to stop in Monday morning, and it's now Wednesday afternoon. I'm not sure if maybe he did stop in and nobody told me, but there's nothing really to update there. I've also not heard anything about DCF or CPS. My sister's best friend has been keeping me updated on what's happening. She has also been trying to clean up her house and has been driving 2 hours to bring my nibblings to school so that my sister doesn't need to. I do not agree with this, though I am glad that they are going to school. I told her friend that she needs to not bail her out, because if she can't do these things without her, then we're not really helping her. I've been right where she is. She is basically me 6 months ago. Her best friend is not only driving 2 hours, both ways, to help my sister, but she has taken time off of work to clean her house. I don't think she can get very far on her own, but my niece somewhat has a bedroom floor now. She's also been sending me things to post on the marketplace to sell, including a rabbit enclosure that I had no idea she had. That one mysteriously died as well, I'm told. The kids have gone to school the last 3 days, late, because of my sister's friend. I fear she is just making the problem worse by doing it for her, but at the same time, the kids need to go. It's such a hard place to be. She told me that my sister is still sleeping, and it is currently 2 p.m. because she was door dashing all night. I don't know how she plans to keep this up. Thanks everyone for the kind words and advice. It's been so nice and encouraging to read through. You have no idea how much it helps. Second update 2 days later. My sister is very upset with me because I told our mother that her children aren't going to school, even after the meeting she had with the school telling her she has until the 19th to clean up her act or they're taking her to court for educational neglect. My mother wasn't happy with her and called her and told her off, to which my sister told her to lose her number. She is still not speaking to me, but she will get over it. She probably won't get over the CPS thing though. I haven't heard anything from them or from animal control, and she hasn't said anything about it. So it's still a waiting game. The school made a plan with her to have the kids at school at 7:15 because she told them the problem is that the kids don't want to go and be watched when they walk in, because she is constantly late bringing them to school and they're walking in midday, and every day this week they have been at least an hour and a half late, despite her best friend's efforts. Her best friend has been keeping me updated on things, and she has been driving 2 hours each way in order to bring the kids to school. When she stayed the night, she slept in the garage because the smell of urine and feces was so intoxicating. Her best friend went back home last night to get some rest before she starts work again tomorrow. She took a week off of work for my sister. It's currently 9:30 a.m., and I haven't seen her location move from her house, so I know that her kids are probably not going to school today. She told me getting up wasn't the problem, but her best friend told me she's been staying up all night door dashing and sleeping until 2 to 3 p.m. while she brings them to school. What is her plan now that her friend went back to her own life? Her best friend is where I was a year ago. She thinks she can fix her. She bought the kids new clothes for school because none of them fit, and has attempted to clean her house. She spent 12 hours cleaning and has hardly made a dent. She found 2 huge dead rats in common areas that the dogs have been peeing on, probably to mask the smell. I'm so effing disgusted. She told me her kids are not going anywhere and to stop rearranging my house for them, but she is not doing anything to make any changes for her kids. I want the kids here so badly. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Where is the kid's father? He should be notified of what's going on. If he's a good dad, he will fight for them. Even if calling CPS doesn't work, take a video of the trashed house and send it to the news and post it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, saying mom refuses to clean up after her kids. Watch, it will be a complete 360 after this. Ops response. I have another post if you go to my profile, and I talk about it. The man who raised my nibblings was removed from the home 2 years ago for child porn allegations, which she says he was cleared of, but, to which he then promptly dropped dead in the street. Literally. The biological father of the older child hasn't seen him in 11 to 12 years and doesn't care to. Op adds an edit to her post. I have just called CPS again. I gave them all of the new information that I have from her best friend, as well as sent them pictures of the kids' bedrooms. There is a pellet gun on the floor in one of the pictures, and I'm sure they won't take kindly to that. I also told them about the moldy, unusable fridge, broken oven, cake urine and feces all over everything, and the huge dead rats that were found. I hope they get in there quickly. Commenter 2. What a wonderful aunt you are. Are you able to care for them yourself? Sadly, it seems that you're a better parent than their own mother. I would hate to see them go into the system because of an irresponsible mother, when they have a loving aunt standing by. Ops response. I'm in nursing school, work, and have 2 children of my own. I want them to come with me, but I'm worried about my sister turning my life upside down and needing a restraining order or something. I don't know if it would be better if they went to a neutral place. If all of that is happening, I won't be able to focus on my studies. If I don't do well in school, I'm failing my own children. So, it's all a big ol' mess. Up to another commenter. I'm hoping they will be allowed to be placed with me. If she has the choice, she might say no just because she's angry with me. We are usually very close, but now that I'm pushing her, she is shutting down on me. Op adds a second edit to her post. I called and spoke to the school. She did not get them to school, and ignored all of their calls, texts, and emails. She didn't even bother to tell anybody that they weren't going. This is against their agreement and doesn't bode well for her. The front desk lady seemed frustrated as well and seemed very well informed of the situation. They've really given her every opportunity to get them to school. She is still giving me the cold shoulder. I texted her and asked if she needed me to bring the kids to school tomorrow and that I'd give them breakfast. Nothing. The principal is supposed to give me a call back at some point, and they will potentially start doing welfare checks with the police when they don't show up. I am one of the kids' emergency contacts, and so they were more than happy to talk to me and seemed on the same page. I asked earlier this afternoon about doing one today, and it seemed like they might since I requested it. I have yet to hear anything, so I'm not sure if they did or not. I'm going to call and do the same thing tomorrow on my lunch break at school. I won't give up. Commenter 3. So hold on, why hasn't CPS realized these kids aren't being taken care of? Good Lord. Ops response. My sister is really good at dancing around the truth. She hasn't allowed anybody in the house. At this point, they will need a warrant. Commenter 4. Did CPS ever visit after the first call? How were the living conditions then? Also, how did she know you called? Ops response. No, they didn't. She's been on their list for a good year and they've never gone in the house. She fostered a baby for a little while, a whole other story, but the baby is no longer there, and she had every excuse in the book why they couldn't go inside, and they just let her. Commenter 5. Any updates? Ops response. Her friend is now unsending all of her Facebook messages. I'm guessing something happened. Third update 1 day later. I'm not sure if I should keep making new posts, or add on to the ones I've already made. Someone let me know lol, I don't know how this works. I called and talked to the school for the second day in a row. She did not get them to school yesterday or today, and slept through all phone calls from them. I watched her location, and she got home at about 6:30 a.m., and it hasn't moved from there. I'm going to start calling my sister's best friend Janice. Janice called my sister from 7 to 9 this morning until one of my nibblings answered the phone. They said they'd been trying to wake her up for an hour, and she wouldn't get up to bring them to school. Janice says they brought the phone to my sister, and Janice told her to get her ass up. My sister lied and told her she brought the kids to school yesterday, and she'd do it today. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Janice is upset that she's been lying to her, but I think she's always lied to her, she's just realizing it now. Well, fast forward a few hours, I start getting a notification for every message that is being deleted by Janice, incriminating my sister. Dozens of messages, including pictures. Luckily, I had most of everything saved already at that point. I asked what she was doing, and she ignored me for a bit, and then I get a call from her. She's crying and upset and says, "What did you do?" I played completely dumb. Apparently, my sister called her ripping mad, screaming, saying that CPS got involved and hung up on her. She thinks Janice is the one who called. I do feel pretty bad about that. I have no idea if they showed up or if they called, but it didn't sound good. She has an inspection coming up, but we are unsure of when. I wish I knew what went down. All I know is that they mentioned the things Janice had told only me, so it'll come back to me eventually. It doesn't sound like she let that on to my sister. If somebody showed up to her house, I'm sure she refused to let them in, which is an obvious red flag. Her porch looks terrible, and there's trash and feces all over outside, so I'm sure that was another rock in her sack. We have our grandmother's funeral tomorrow morning, and if she gets her ass out of bed at 8:30 tomorrow morning, doubtful, it's going to be one awkward family reunion. Janice is also going. I'm crapping bricks. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. So Janice is trying to cover this up to save your sister? Am I understanding that right? If that's the case, she is complicit in the abuse. Full stop. Ops response. Yes, and I think she's starting to realize that I'm using it against my sister. Commenter 2. So Janice is more worried about how this makes your sister look to CPS than about what it's doing to her kids? She was totally fine with everything that's going on, to the extent of being willing to share it with you, until it can be used by CPS? She's more upset about your sister lying about taking the kids to school than she is about her not taking the kids to school and living in filth. Sounds like a bad person. Ops response. Her priorities are definitely messed up. Op adds an edit to her post. I just messaged her other close friend, who also happens to be a social worker. She's helping me get in touch with their social worker. No, the friend hasn't seen the house in a good year or two. Fourth update 1 day later. She did not make the funeral. Janice drove 2 hours to drag her out of the house, but she refused to go. Now Janice is cleaning up her house while my sister does absolutely nothing. I told her to just give it up, but she thinks she's doing what's best. The DCF inspection is bright and early Monday morning. Janice is doing what she can to hide the evidence. They're both more worried about figuring out who called than the kids' well-being. I'm beyond disgusted. Janice thinks she's being a good ride-or-die friend, but I do not see it that way. I wish I could never talk to either of them again, but my nibblings don't deserve to be isolated. Thanks for listening to my woes. Fifth update 1 day later. My sister has her inspection tomorrow morning. I don't know what time, as she won't tell us. She's done nothing to help this situation. My guess is she will just not let them in, and they will have to get a warrant. If anyone has any insight on how that goes, please let me know. I also sent the DCF a long email explaining everything about Janice, and I have offered my home and time to them should they need me. I'll make a more in-depth update after I find out what happens tomorrow. I'm hoping the social worker gives me a call and updates me. Sixth update 9 days later. I don't even know where to begin. It feels like so much has happened, yet nothing at all. My sister knows somebody called and is blaming Janice and isn't speaking to her. I feel slightly awful because now my sister is speaking to me again and talking crap about Janice. I've been redirecting her as best I can. The only reason she's even talking to me is because she wants to borrow my car. I wouldn't see it again. So I've been just saying it's at the shop, which isn't a lie, but I can pick it up anytime. I just haven't had the time with school and work, but I'm not telling her that. She only talks to us when she needs something like picking up her vape juice and giving her money or a vehicle. I'm trying so hard for these kids, and I just feel like I'm getting nowhere, besides poking the bear. For now, I'm saying let's make the best of it and get some help, but she's yet to make any effort. The only people that know I called are our dad, my partner, and her friend Caroline, who is actually a DCF worker. She's been so helpful through all of this in trying to help me help the kids, in a way that won't cause her to lose her job. And all of you. My sister did not go to the funeral as expected, and she has a meeting on Monday with the school to discuss the kids' truancy again. This was her deadline to start going before they took her to court. I've been calling the school every day, and they've not gone once since Janice stopped bringing them, day 3 of their deal. It's been a few weeks now. They know my phone number now and greet me by name, LOL. My sister managed to dodge her DCF worker 2 days in a row, once she rescheduled, and second, the worker rescheduled. The house still looks horrendous. I dropped off Operation Happiness gifts and food, and I couldn't even get past the front door. It was a dark, dingy, dirty, stinky cave. She's still in denial and says, Janice called DCF on me over a moldy zucchini. She's dead to me. Actually, she's just plain delusional. There's no way she can actually believe that, not when I've seen her house and smelled them all. She even craps on Janice for her cat and kittens and how at least there's not crap and piss at her house. There is. A lot. She just doesn't leave her bedroom. She's not put in a single gram of effort into cleaning her house, but she has spent lots of time trying to figure out who called on her, which is just disgusting. I've told her friend Caroline everything, and she has been trying to talk to her, but my sister has been lying through her teeth to her, which is unhelpful because I've told her absolutely everything. She said she may have to write her own report based on the things I've told and things she's noticed. She gave my information along to my sister's social worker and said to expect a phone call soon, as it's being made a priority. My sister is going to be pissed. I've been dropping hints to her about seeking treatment and easing her into the thought of her kids coming to my house. She's still vehemently against it and says they are not leaving her house under any circumstances. Unfortunately, she does not have that choice, but I need her to comply with our plan once they do get taken. I have no idea how she's going to react, and I'm terrified. Especially terrified for her children. She is not going to make this easy on them, and if she has to go to court, she will get a copy of the affidavit on it that will have my name and exact report that I made. I'm not thrilled for that, but for now, I'm just denying it until I can't anymore. Thanks again for listening to my woes. /relevant comments. Commenter. Honestly, I would let her believe it's Janice. Don't say a word about it, because you need to be there for those kids. Maybe see if you could convince her to let the kids have a sleepover at your house? Just to give them a break and get them into school, and just in a clean environment. You're strong for what you are doing. Don't back down for the sake of those kids. If their mom isn't in their corner, you need to be. Commenter 2. Good luck, and remember you are doing the right thing. Your sister is ill and does not realize how sick she is. Update us if you can. 7th update 3 years later. 2 years ago, I posted that I called CPS on my sister. The post blew up, and I ended up deleting it because I was afraid my sister would see it with how popular it was getting. I still get messages to this account asking for updates. Everyone was very helpful to me blowing off steam about this, so I feel like I owe everyone an update. It's not great. We have to be careful about what we say and do so that we can still have access to the children. My sister is a textbook narcissist, and she has manipulated them so completely. Here's some background to jog our memories. Hoarder house, they needed to all share a bedroom because they didn't have access to the other rooms in the house. The house is a biohazard. Urine and feces everywhere. Dead dogs, yes, plural, and rats in corners that they couldn't find. Moldy and decayed food everywhere and in the fridge. They had to order out for every meal. My mother and I spent thousands of dollars and hours hiring cleaning services, moving companies, and recruiting friends and family to help. My sister sat at the table vaping and scrolling her phone because it was too overwhelming for her. Her boyfriend had died 2 years before this, and that was her excuse for not getting her crap together for her kids. To this day, she says she didn't help because she wasn't ready. We begged her to get inpatient treatment. She took my niece door dashing at all hours of the night with her drug-using friends, while my nephew stayed at home playing video games. Loaded pellet guns were scattered through the house. Absences from school to the point of daily welfare checks, the principal showing up to bang on the door, and my sister being brought to court. Dogs and cats living in squalor, being made to crap and piss in the house. Sister was actively trying to get pregnant. Probably so much more. Yes, I was in contact with the school daily. Yes, I called the police. Yes, I called animal control. They said there was nothing they could do because she wouldn't open the door. Updates as of today. CPS did absolutely nothing. They said that the kids were not in imminent danger, and that there was nothing that they could do. My sister's enabling friend Janice cleaned up the dead dogs and replaced the floors in those rooms before the CPS worker showed up. I told them this. They didn't care as long as it was done. Janice also cleaned the kitchen and one bedroom, making it almost livable so that the CPS worker could see they had a kitchen and a bedroom. Mind you, there are 5+ rooms in the house that they couldn't access, with dead animals in it. My sister didn't allow the CPS worker in any other rooms, and the worker allowed that. My sister has a new boyfriend in the last 4 to 5 months. He is a drug user with a violent and criminal past who is in and out of jail. My sister is nearly 40, and her new boyfriend is 22. Would they get out of this relationship? I am not sure. Neither of them has anything to give. Friend Janice has expressed concerns over the boyfriend's behavior with my 11-year-old niece, i.e., snuggling her alone in the car. My sister and her boyfriend and kids stayed with Janice for a few months after their house became flea-infested and they could no longer stay there. August maybe? Janice eventually kicked them out after they destroyed her house, complained about her asking for help around the house, did not contribute financially, and she needed to keep buying clothes and hygiene products for them all. I have told her to cut her off, but she worries for the kids. During this time, my niece slept in the car because she was uncomfortable at Janice's, and so she slept in a running car every night. The neighbors called the police multiple times. We all assumed my sister lost the apartment, but she is adamant that she hasn't been kicked out yet, only threatened. My mom sent her landlord money and bought another dumpster that is currently sitting outside unused because she is too overwhelmed. My mother is done. They stayed at my mom's for a few days after Janice kicked them out, where my mom bought all of them, including the boyfriend, new clothes. My niece and nephew are now 11 and 16. They have not been to school in over 2 years. After the school got too judgy, her words, she pulled them to homeschool. Our state has no rules or regulations on homeschooling, so there is no reason for her to even fake documents. My nephew is 16 and doesn't even know how many days are in a month. They do not do any schooling, and they have said this to my face. My sister has told us, she will get around to signing them up. My nephew is over 300 pounds with high cholesterol and hypertension. He is embarrassed about his weight and depressed. He sleeps and eats all day. My niece was recently hospitalized after she couldn't walk and was so deconditioned and ill that she couldn't function. She was found to have functional neurological disorder from extreme stress. I went to their care meetings at the hospital, and to be severely malnourished and dehydrated. She told the doctors it just started, but they're not stupid. She was too sick. She sat in that car for too long that she atrophied and got edematous. This was going on for much longer than any of us know. My sister never brought her to the doctor for fear of being judged. She brings neither child to their primary care physicians anymore. You guessed it, they're too judgy. Eventually, she was worried my niece would die and brought her to the ER. She had to spend 3 weeks there. The hospital had many concerns but did not call. I had meetings with them and also told them all of this as well. I was really hoping that they would, and it would have more weight coming from them than from me. The boyfriend was staying in the hospital room with them, and the staff had a lot of concerns. He gave my niece pepper spray as a fidget toy, so he says is the reason, and it fell out when the nurse tried to help her to the bathroom. My parents are now divorced because of my sister. Our dad wants nothing to do with her, while my mom wanted to continue helping her because of the kids. I see both of their points of view. There is not a good answer. This has been a bombshell in all of our lives. My sister has burned all of her bridges and is door dashing all day for a hotel room. So that is where they are all staying, including the boyfriend. Either the car, or a hotel room. The car that they keep mysteriously getting into accidents in, and then lying about how it happened. My sister is still actively trying to get pregnant. She recently started on fertility medications and supplements. Where will they keep a baby? In the trunk. The children rarely respond to anyone because she has them drinking the Kool-Aid. They know that their mom could get in a lot of trouble, so they just don't talk. Neither of them has any friends, and they are so isolated from the outside world. I send them lunch money periodically, and my mom buys them clothes. Janice has blocked my sister on everything after she used and abused her too many times, so I don't have that avenue of knowing they are safe anymore. I called CPS again yesterday. I unloaded on that poor reporter. I then called the hospital and left a message with care management that I did it, and that I encouraged them to call and details of their own. They will never be members of society. My friends are sick of hearing about it, my parents don't want to talk about it, and have washed their hands of it. If by some miracle they actually take the kids this time, the only place they could go is with me or with friend Janice, who is almost 2 hours away. If they went with Janice, I fear it would just allow more enabling behavior. My partner is a stay-at-home dad to our 2 small children while I work 12-hour shifts 3 to 5 times a week, and he is rightfully nervous about adding 2 traumatized children to the mix where he will be the primary caregiver. We would have to completely uproot our lives, which we are willing to do, but it is daunting. I am exhausted. I am angry. I am sad. I am so disgusted with myself and every other adult in their lives that have failed them. /relevant comments. Commenter. Well, this update is depressing. Janice literally ruined the rescue mission, all to end up blocking her anyway. Whole situation is sad. I'm so sorry for everything. Ops response. Tell me about it. I have told her again and again that she needs to stop bailing her out. She will never figure it out because she always has someone to throw her a line. It has gone too far. I love my friends, but you would not find me doing these things for them. To another commenter. I know a few people with connections to our DCF, and I reached out to one of them today. It's just so exhausting. I'm so worried about these kids. Commenter 2. This is just all unbelievably sad. You must be feeling so helpless. Ops response. So helpless. I feel crazy because nobody is acting like the sky is falling, like I am.
Story 3.
My fiancé's mother is trying to control our wedding, and my fiancé lets her. Posted by u/nervousbride0. Editor's note, Op made 2 posts that were similar, but they each had additional, different details that added more context, so I'm adding them both, just a heads up for when you think it's repeating some parts. Post 1. I, 25F, am getting married in September, and my fiancé's, 26F, mom, 50F, is trying to get us to change details. My fiancé does whatever her mom says without consulting me. These are petty details that don't really matter, like flowers and centerpieces, the order of the bridal processions, where people will sit at the reception, that kind of thing. None of these things are things that I have always dreamed of having a certain way, and my fiancé knows that and thinks that it means that the person who cares more should get more say. I disagree and wish she would butt out. My fiancé's mom has never been that nice to me. She isn't mean, but she is thoughtless. She does stuff like forget that I'm coming to dinner, and I end up eating a frozen dinner that she microwaved while everyone else has a nice meal. I can't help but feel that she thinks that we are just silly little girls. She treated her other daughter like she was becoming a real adult when she got married, to a man, and to us she keeps saying that we're just so young and we should reconsider. My fiancé's sister was younger than us when she got married by 2 years. She thinks we can't handle planning on our own. I did almost everything myself, and she has decided that I did it all wrong. We wanted a certain flower. She insisted that this type of flower wouldn't hold up in the heat, it's a late September evening wedding, and it won't be that hot, and she tried to have it changed. The entire color scheme is based on this flower, so I said no. My fiancé and I fought about the stupid flowers for a whole weekend. The latest thing is that she disagrees with the bridal processions. Obviously, there are 2 brides, so things won't be 100% traditional. We found a way that we like. My future mother-in-law hates it and thinks it will confuse the guests. She's been calling her family members that are involved in the bridal parties to try to get them on her side. I just want her to stop and accept that the plans have been made. My fiancé loves her mom and thinks she's the best at everything. She thinks that because her mom was an event planner for a couple of years in the 90s, she knows more and should be given the reins. I'm sick of it, and I fantasize about pulling a Lorelai Gilmore on my own wedding. Help? Post 2. Tried posting about this a while back and didn't get a huge response. Someone said that this sub is very active, and that I might get some advice here because it involves the woman who will become my mother-in-law. My fiancé and I have a date to get married in September. Anyone who has planned a wedding knows that changing things at this stage is difficult and expensive. It's not stopping my future mother-in-law. She loves to say nothing is written in stone. I started keeping a journal of what she's tried to change. From memory, without consulting it, the flowers, the bride's people, the order of the procession, the layout of the seats at the ceremony, my dress, the photographer, and some rules we decided to implement for the ceremony, long story there. I should mention that we are both women. My future mother-in-law hasn't been overtly homophobic, but I suspect that it affects how she views us, whether she realizes it or not. It's nothing concrete. I just sense it based on a lifetime of developing instincts for this stuff. She is dismissive of us and treats it like it's not a real wedding. I think she thinks of us as silly little girls who are playing house. She didn't treat her straight daughter this way when she was married to a man, and my future sister-in-law was younger than us when she married her husband. That wedding was regarded as the event that ushered her into adulthood. For us, though, the wedding is proof that we're silly and not ready for adulthood. She has told us both many times that we don't need to get married to validate our relationship. My fiancé thinks her mother is just lending us her expertise because we're party planning amateurs. Her mom was an event planner for a couple of years in the 90s. They were corporate events, not weddings. She also has a philosophy of whoever cares more and will be most upset if they don't get their way should have it their way. She says I don't care that much about flowers, so I should let her have it. I remind her 50 times a day that I'm getting married, not her mom. My fiancé is not girly, and her only request was please don't make me choose between 50 shades of ivory tablecloths. She has been more hands-off, so she isn't as emotionally invested. She doesn't get that I have been putting a lot into this, and to have someone wreck it all is depressing. This isn't usually my thing, but I've been surprised at how much I enjoyed the planning. However, her mom is known by everyone as the planner, and everyone lets her have events because they know she enjoys it. A lot of her relatives have told me I must be so relieved to have her because everything she does ends up perfect. They assume two butch-looking women are allergic to this kind of thing, I guess. I don't know what to say, and I won't lie, so I just say she certainly loves planning stuff. To get my fiancé on board, I've compared the wedding to a garden. How would she feel if she spent a year planting a garden, paying a lot of money for it, and when it's almost done, the next-door neighbor comes in and demands that you rip out some flowers? Would you do it if the neighbor said I used to work at a plant nursery for 2 years in the 90s and seemed emotionally invested in your garden, or would you think they're a nutcase and tell them to leave because it's not theirs? She seemed to get it and apologized. But then the next time her mom called her, she sat me down and asked me to consider changing another wedding detail. I'm feeling unsupported by my fiancé, and my friends are really concerned. I'm writing this at 4 a.m. and watching Gilmore Girls on low volume while my fiancé sleeps upstairs. I used to curse at the screen when Lorelai ran out on her wedding, but now I find myself identifying with how panicked she gets about the wedding. This has already gotten long enough, so I'll end it here. /relevant comments. Commenter. I'm wondering whether you and your fiancé might find some pre-marriage counseling helpful? I ask because she seems to not be aware of the differences between how your future sister-in-law was treated and how you both are being treated in the lead-up to your wedding, and if she is, she doesn't seem bothered by it. That's not okay. It's not okay to treat your future marriage as frivolous, or as an indicator that you should be infantilized. Nor is it okay to give in to emotional manipulation in order to have your wedding suit someone else. Is your relationship solid right now? If so, have a direct conversation about her mother's crap. If not, go to counseling in order to have this conversation. And consider whether you're ready to leave and cleave unto each other. Ops response. I feel really solid about everything except the wedding. My fiancé thinks weddings are dumb and has always thought she'd just let her mom do whatever she wants as long as she doesn't involve me. She says her mom has been talking about her wedding since she was small, and she's always known that her mom would go crazy over it. Fiancé says she's just going to get through it, and then go back to seeing her mom 6 times a year like usual. When I say I'm upset over having no control, it doesn't compute for her because she thinks weddings are dumb. I'm not a huge romantic, and neither is she, but I am sentimental. When we first started dating, it was an issue. I got her a gift that was inexpensive but hard to come by, and it referenced an early date we went on and still talked about as the one where we both clicked. If I'd gotten that gift, I would have loved it, and she just didn't get it at all. We talked about it, and now she tries to get me sentimental gifts, and I try to spoil her with stuff she'd feel too guilty to buy. The fact that we don't agree over something like a wedding is not surprising. Commenter 2. I thought the garden analogy was a good one, and I'm sorry that your fiancé seemed to get it, but then turned around again. Lending your expertise is great if it's wanted. If it isn't, then it's just interfering. Have you actually told your fiancé that you are enjoying planning your wedding and have made decisions, and it upsets you when your future mother-in-law suggests changes? Your comment about her philosophy, whoever cares more and will be most upset if they don't get their way should have it their way, is a little worrying, as it appears she is more concerned about not upsetting her mother than not upsetting you, since you seem to be the one who is expected to go along with whatever your future mother-in-law wants, rather than what you've planned. Ops response. I've told her it upsets me, but I think she doesn't believe I care more because my response is usually like, this is upsetting me. Can we talk? Whereas her mom calls her, crying. Commenter 3. Mother-in-law is immediately on an information diet. You tell her nothing about the wedding plans. Just say things like, oh, we've got that taken care of. We just need you to show up. Put passwords in with all of your vendors. You don't want her to change your flowers at the last minute. Or do something to the cake. The day of, assign a good friend or 3 to mother-in-law distraction duty. Their only jobs during your wedding and celebration are to keep tabs on mother-in-law and make sure she doesn't try to sneak anything in. If mother-in-law shows up in a white or close to white dress, they might need to be on red wine spilling duty. Tell the DJ or whoever is handling your music that the only instructions for that day can come from you two and a selected few backup individuals, the bridal party, for example, but not the moms and dads of the wives. I'm trying to wrap my head around how she could successfully change a wedding dress. Unless it involved destruction of the dress or strong manipulations into getting the other dress. Ops response. She didn't go behind my back with any of these, she argued to me in person. I haven't let her change any of it. She wanted me to either wear a dress that matched my fiancé's, which was impossible because I have not seen it and won't until the wedding, or wear a suit. Her argument was that the dresses would clash unless they matched, and an easy fix was for me to wear a suit instead. I don't look good in a suit, and I didn't want to wear one. It seems like an invented problem to me. Update 3 days later. After some tough love the other day, I had a discussion with my fiancé. She dismissed my concerns, told me things such as, I get why my mom cares, but I don't get why you care. It's not even your thing. I don't understand how she can't see that my wedding should be my thing. She is disgusted that I want to do all of this girly crap. I tend to shut down and get quiet when I'm upset, so I went upstairs and tried to sleep. I texted a friend that I trust, and he convinced me to get away for a couple of days. I packed a bag and told her I need some space for a while, and that we both have a lot to think about. She seemed really shocked, even though we had just been talking for hours about how she's letting me down. I think she needs me to scream and cry for her to understand that I'm upset. I was still in the car to my friend's house when I got a call from my fiancé's mom. She called her, and I guess she said that things were serious because of her interference. She said, don't worry, fiancé's not making me call you on her behalf. The call was weird. She made me promise I was still going to a family dinner that was planned for Saturday. I had forgotten about it, but I said I still plan on it for now. She begged and said we need to see each other and work on this. So I said fine, I'll do it. Based on how she's behaved before, I think she will try to approach me with a compromise that gives her 80% and gives me 20%. I don't expect an apology. Maybe I'm being defeatist. Anyway, I'm on a couch at my friend's place for a couple of days. I get a text message every few hours from my future mother-in-law. An example, you have chosen very tasteful flowers. I think they'll be beautiful and you were right to ignore me. With rainbow heart emojis added. I think she's worried the wedding might not happen, and she's freaking out. I haven't responded to any of her texts. I have 13 right now. My future mother-in-law has been horrible to me at family dinners before. She has forgotten that I'm coming and had nothing for me to eat. I'm a vegetarian. She pulled a vegetarian frozen meal out, and I ate that while everyone else had homemade food because everything had meat or animal fat in it. This has happened twice. Other times, I've had to eat side dishes, which was fine, but they didn't have a place setting for me and dragged a rickety old chair from another part of the house to the table while I stood there awkwardly. If either of those things happen on Saturday, I'm leaving. Since she made me promise over the phone, I don't think she has an excuse to forget. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. You got in a fight with your fiancé over her overbearing mother, and then her overbearing mother called you to make up on her behalf? Is your fiancé always like this? She sounds very immature and enmeshed with her mom. Why is her mother planning the wedding at all? It's not her wedding to plan. You really need to figure out if you guys are ready for marriage. Your fiancé sounds like she is not ready to be an adult. Does she even want to get married? It sounds like you should cancel the wedding and postpone it until you can fix your serious, glaring red alarm relationship issues. This is not how your married life should start. You threatening to leave is not how wedding planning should go. This is sad. Ops response. Until the engagement, I never really dealt with her mom, and she never texted me until a couple of months ago when she didn't like something about the wedding. The only communication was either in person or in a group text. She definitely never called me to try to fix things between me and my fiancé. I've heard more from her in the past 3 weeks than I have in the entirety of my relationship with her daughter before that. Commenter 2. I get why my mom cares, but I don't get why you care. It's not even your thing. I think this one statement says more about the relationship than any of the other red flags. There is so much packed into those two sentences. 1. Mom's feelings are more important than Ops. Just going by this, it sounds like the wedding is more important than the marriage. She wants what she wants, and what she wants is what Mom wants. 2. Significant other doesn't know Op very well, or why she would care. Why she would care? It's her wedding too. Of course she should care. Okay, not everyone has an interest in linens or favors. But when someone does show interest, how can you say why would you care? About their own wedding planning? For example, while planning our wedding, I was surprised at some of the things my husband was excited to plan for. He cared way more about the flowers and centerpieces than I did. He made several appointments to go over the flower choices, rearranging the order, etc. Seeing that excitement made me happy, not confused. Sure, I may not have expected it, but it never crossed my mind to think, why do you care? That's girly stuff. Op's response. I know you didn't intend it to, but this made me cry. I realized that it's how I would react. If my fiancé was into the flowers, I would find it endearing, and I'd want to squish her face. Commenter 3. She made me promise I was still going to a family dinner that was planned for Saturday. I had forgotten about it, but I said I still plan on it for now. She begged and said we need to see each other and work on this. So I said fine, I'll do it. You are walking into a trap. Park far enough away that no one can block you in, so you can bounce. Please heed me on this. They are going to try to strong-arm you en masse. Second update 1 week later. As a reminder, my ex-fiancé and I are both women. Last time I posted I said I was going to a dinner with my then future in-laws. You guys were right to convince me not to go. I'm just going to call my ex-fiancé's mom Fmeel to keep things simple, but I have no idea if I'll get married to her or if our relationship will survive this. I canceled dinner, and Fmeel was very upset about it. I didn't feel right playing happy family while I wasn't even sleeping at my own place because things were so bad. I think she knew about all of it based on how frantic she was about the cancellation. She sent a lot of texts and started calling me about 5 times a day, which I ignored. Ex-fiancé and I had Monday off, so I decided Sunday would be a good time to talk. I arranged a time to talk and went back home. I said that I am calling off the wedding because I don't feel ready. I said, I'm not saying never, just not now. We have some work to do if we ever want to get married. I won't go into the whole conversation because it took place over many hours, but she first got nasty and sarcastic and mean before suddenly bursting into tears and telling me she knew she had been horrible to me and she didn't know why. She said an ugly side of her was coming out lately, and she was ashamed of herself. We spoke about that for a long time, and I said I'm willing to work with you on that as long as you work on yourself. She even agreed that we are nowhere near ready to be married. I ended up spending the night, and things seemed like they were on the mend. I woke up, and she'd gotten up early to make crepes. She was singing in the kitchen and had a huge smile on her face when I walked in. I hadn't seen her look so happy in months. We talked and laughed and ate crepes, but halfway through breakfast she snapped at me and threw a spoon across the kitchen. I was stunned and looked at her and said, "This can't continue. If you ever throw something in anger again, I'm out. That's not okay." She looked pretty horrified that she'd done it and said she was so sorry and she'd ruined our whole day off together. I said no, it doesn't have to be ruined. Just show me that the rest of the day can be better than that. She seemed to take that to heart, and she hasn't even teased me or said anything sarcastic since then. In a nutshell, we found that the source of the nastiness and dismissiveness was that she was scared of getting married and didn't know how to tell me because I seemed so excited. She thought I would dump her if she asked for the wedding to be pushed back or cancelled. She was pushing me away emotionally because she didn't want the wedding to happen. What she did wasn't okay, but at least I understand the motivation behind it better now. We decided that the first people to find out should be the vendors because we want to forfeit as little money as possible, and then the parents. I called my dad, and he was pretty nice about it. Ex-fiancée called her own parents, and they were not happy. Fmeel made her promise that she would take 3 weeks to think about it and keep this a secret. I disagree. I think guests should be told as soon as possible because some of them might not have paid for hotels, wedding outfits, or airline tickets yet. I would rather save them the money if possible. Fmeel has called and texted me dozens of times, asking me to say nothing. She has also offered to send us both on a vacation to reconnect and get away from wedding stress. I think she will be really embarrassed if the wedding is called off, and she's becoming desperate. I am under no promise to Fmeel, and I told all of the guests in my family. All of my friends know because they've been helping me through this, and so that just leaves family members on ex-fiancé's side. I have all of the guests' information because I handled save-the-date/invitations. I'm thinking of just calling them because I think it's the right thing to do, but it will start a war with Fmeal. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Up, imagine if you were invited to a wedding that was cancelled, and they didn't tell you. How would you feel? You send out save the dates, so people are saving that date for your wedding and maybe turning down other plans. They might be buying clothes or gifts and booking flights, hotels, or car rentals. They might be working on thoughtful, time-consuming crafts as gifts. It's beyond selfish and rude to not tell people it was cancelled as soon as you're sure, which was as soon as you cancelled your vendors. You already thought about this. You're already seeing the red flags that make you unready to get married, much less whatever your ex-fiancé, guess she's your girlfriend? As hesitations are. Op adds an edit to her post. I told my ex-fiancé that she needs to call her guests within 24 hours, or I'll do it for her. She told me she wasn't doing it at all, so I may as well just do it for her and start now. That's the last straw. I'm calling the guests and telling them as soon as I'm done typing this. I was putting up with enough disrespect from her myself, but to see her disrespect all of the wedding guests in her family disgusts me. She has some elderly relatives who are going to come despite poor health. They deserve as much warning as possible. I'm moving out as soon as I can. Thanks for everything, everyone. Hopefully this is the last you will hear from me. Commenter 2. I don't believe for a second that the ex-fiancé's nasty attitude was a recent thing caused by the wedding. Op only noticed how bad it was due to all the stress. I can't believe the ex let her mother treat her like that for so long, but then again, I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm glad she put her foot down, and I hope she's happier now because, no matter how it seems, Op was probably in an emotionally abusive relationship with her ex. Commenter 3. So glad this didn't end with them trying to work on the relationship. That relationship sounded terrible, regardless of the wedding situation, and Op dodged a major bullet. Relieved they broke up and hope Op finds someone better.